My name is Abman Kota, and you are watching the TPN TV and Radio Network. As we now all know, hold on, before let me just put together this. As we now all know, we get another exciting program today because the country no go ever stop for generate news for we all. So, but today we talk about soccer. You know, soccer politics. Now we'll get to talk about today, and I believe most of now don't see the disaster way they go on in terms of soccer in Sierra Leone. We right now FIFA don't suspend Sierra Leone until further notice because of the problems we will get. We'll get these problems of using politics in soccer, in sports in general. That's not the thing that one the way don't come bite with. And if you now remember, not just this political sports, it not only starts from the SLPP. This saga where would they see it unfold itself today, so it started from the previous government, and for this particular woman, when Aisha Johansson, and the president of SLAFA, Sierra Leone Football Association, and now I think we don't go for a very long time. We are in some people, they're not happy, they're not agree. They say, well, the APC party interfere in soccer, and while Kamara install Aisha Johansson na this position, so therefore the SLPP don't come, and they accuse Aisha Johansson of being an APC supporter. So all the kind politics where they expect any sports in they happen in our country, as we all know. And it's very, very sad when we see some of them in the look. This past Thursday, Sierra Leone supposed to play Ghana, but because of the suspension, we're not able to play Ghana at all, and we don't know when we get for play. That's not the other thing now on the way right now. Would they try for figure out what thing for happen, and the government of Madabil, as Unayeri, the chief minister, Dr. Francis, where he come now the media, he can lambast and he talks say Sierra Leone a sovereign state, so therefore SLAFA way an organization, they can dictate within them one for do. So this na a kind of a fight between the country or the government, we believe say they are the ultimate authority. So it seems like FIFA want for interfere now we own internal problems. Now let me back up and try to explain exactly what happened. According to news where we hear, then say the president of SLAFA, when Aisha Johansson, he corrupts. So the ACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, come after him. Then say he corrupts. So then they investigate him, and because the ACC they investigate Aisha Johansson, she should be suspended from the position of SLAFA president. This, Aisha say, is not supposed to be so. Well, the ACC say that's not the rule. They say not the rule. When they investigate you, you need for step down from your position. That's not the tug of war right now they happen. And if you look at this, now because of that confusion, because FIFA just believes say Aisha Johansson na the legitimate president of SLAFA, and na in then they look up to. So if the government say you no want for deal with them, then therefore then they suspend SLAFA, the Sierra Leone Football Association. You know, it got so many implications, because when you look at the two sides, you see some sense of stand your ground element into that. This Thursday we're supposed to play Ghana on the Nations Cup qualifying series. We're not able to play, and also on the 11th of this month, November the 16th, we're supposed to play Kenya. We don't know how that happened, how that will be, whether they lift the suspension or we are doomed for this Nations Cup qualifying series. Now, the government of Sierra Leone says, according to the laws of ACC, because they now the constitution for say when the NEPA investigate you get for step down, but are not able for I get the laws for the ACC, but are not able for read through that and try to find out whether the laws talk about public offices or anybody, because waiting the ACC boss been try to talk about in a BBC interview. He say the law says when the NEPA investigates you, so you need for step down, and therefore Madam make them suspend Aisha Johansson. Well, who knows? I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen, whether the law actually talk about suspension. But as we all know, Aisha Johansson right now they're under suspension, and who that's supposed to take over now, according to the ACC, now in second in command. Now he's supposed to take over, but he try for make for being done. Thank God. I don't get the I don't get the laws we talk about suspension. Okay. All right. Let me take this. Let me go to that page so that Una self will able to probably see them if it's possible. If not, I will just read them for Una. Okay. According to the laws of ACC, the law says a public officer who is charged with corruption or economic crime shall be suspended at half pay with effect from the date of the charge. The public officer ceases to be suspended if the proceeding against him are discontinued or if he is acquitted. Okay. Section 3 says this section does not derogate from any power or requirement under any law under which the public officer may be suspended without pay or dismissed. This section does not apply with respect to an office in respect of which the Constitution limits or provides for the ground upon which a holder of the office may be removed or the circumstances in which the office must be vacated. Okay, let me come back on the screen. So I just read this for now. For now, I see what thing actually they talk about. The argument here is the ACC say when you are charged with corruption or economic crime, you should be suspended from your office. But specifically, this charge talk about public officers. Well, you go argue, is Aisha Johansson a public officer? Now, let me bring in Mr. Um, Mr. Kabo. Mr. Kabo, based on what I don't understand so far, the argument where the SLPP and the ACC, then they try for talk about is the suspension include Aisha Johansson. Do you say Aisha Johansson are a public officer?
Oh yes, just to answer that question, yes, she's a police officer.
How? How?
Well, she represents a very important section of the country's economy and the country's activities. As long as you work under, you have people in a very in a department or a section. You have people which you support, and besides, I want to believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's paid from the government coffers, except otherwise, you correct me. And being that they depend from the government coffers, is the government official, and thoughts is not something strange, not an independent organization. It is a government organization in Sierra Leone,
Well, first of all,
sponsored by the government of Sierra Leone.
well, first of all, what I understand is Aisha Johansson is not paid by the government. It's not paid from the COFA. The FIFA actually responsible for SLAFA budget. I may be wrong, also because I'm not sure, but this is what I understand. I remember when I've been bringing Chris Kamara when I the Secretary General of SLAFA. Now that one day he been telling me, I've been asking specifically whether the governments they pay SLAFA. He said no. Then they get budget from FIFA, and other budgets then they use for pay the officers then. So if that is the case, how Aisha Johansson in charges therefore be in position becomes a public position. So that's now I don't understand.
Well, Mr. Mangota, then if that is so, you're saying that FIFA is a separate entity, it's an individual of itself, right? Either be a corporation or an enterprise of its own, and away from the government. Then, if that is so, then why the politicians in Sierra Leone have hands and dictate to the running of the FIFA? And anytime we hear the president or the minister or this, because FIFA is under the Ministry of Sports. If I
Not
correct me
FIFA,
if I'm
SLAFA.
wrong.
You mean
And,
SLAFA?
say it again.
You mean SLAFA, not to FIFA. You mean SLAFA?
SLAFA, right?
Yeah.
It's under the government of under the Minister of Sports. Correct? It's the Minister of Sport that is the overall boss that supervises them.
Yeah. Now then, now in the
So
actually
then if
oversee.
that is so, why is it regulated by governments if they are not sponsoring them at all? I think that's more in the constitution or in the agreement, wherein probably brings in the ministry itself, where it has some rules and regulations to enforce and SLAFA to abide by. So if that is so, then that's a stakeholder there. And being a stakeholder, you have to make sure you cater to the needs and demands and whatever is going on within the SLAFA itself.
Well, and that's a very good question. But the answer to that is, of course, the government not supposed to interfere into or not supposed to bring politics into sports, because there is always some of you will be small. They say politics supposed for the out of sports. You're not supposed for mingle itself with, because the moment you bring politics, then you don't lose the rhythm of sportsmanship, because everybody they try for do this, they try for do that. Oh, I think I just lost Mr. Kabo, but hold on, let me just try for bring and come back. Um, hold on, let me bring you come back.
Please leave your message for 6465.
Mr. Cabo, hold on. Let me bring you come back. So as you all know, this is the situation wherein politics has become up. I don't know, Mr. Cabo, you go off at the time for bringing car, you go off. I don't know what's going on with you, but that's I don't know. As I bring you come on. All right. All right. Did you drive, Mr. Cabo? Did you drive? You don't go off back. Okay. Well, I don't know what thing they go on with Mr. Cabo. I think say it and drive, so in network they fluctuate. So okay, let him call me now. I go with them at the answer when he come. But here is the situation where we found ourselves. We all know saying politics supposed to be separate from sports, because sports not something where they unite people them together. Politics not something where they divide people them together. This is the reason why politics not supposed to mingle with sports. When you mingle politics with sport, then you actually lost the objective, the fabric of sportsmanship. But as we all know, a very, very tempting, especially when you get a situation wherein the politicians are everywhere, then they everywhere for cause problem, then they interfere in every fabric of society. A very, very sad on that side. But Mr. Cabo, and Mr. Cabo, you drive?
No, I didn't house. I don't know what you happened. I get connected and disconnected.
Yeah,
I got you back.
At the time for as you can't inside no more, you go off back. But anyway, hopefully you go back. So what I've been trying to talk about is the reason we want to make we need for separate politics from sports. Sports now thing the way they bring people then together. Sports nothing way they politics nothing way they divide people then. So I see Tpn Network. I see it sounds like say you get Tpn Network, Mr. Cabo. I did see the way them call now. Hopefully they go up. So yeah, so now the thing is, yes, the Minister of Sports now they're supposed to oversee all the sports activities the way they go on at the country, but they're not supposed to interfere within the house at the country. So you want to tell me say because the Ministry of Sports they oversee what thing they go on at the sport activity in the country, so therefore they get right for interfere. Now you the time for talk, Mr. Cabo.
Yeah, if at all they have the responsibilities for look after them and for participate or contribute in whatever little they have, of course they have the right to interfere. Except otherwise, it's stated clearly where not in constitution or whether not their own way of operating. But one thing I want to say, you see, Mr. Mankota, politics in Sierra Leone is everywhere. It's very ambiguous for talk say a big agency or corporation like SCAFA government on their hands, but it's very difficult because there's nothing in Sierra Leone that is not under government. That government or the hands. So I mean a very big one like that has to do with international and you telling me, yeah.
I don't say government not get hands, but government not supposed to manage the organization. The organization an independent organization where the government oversee everywhere, anything at the country, government supposed to oversee that. But when you come in and try to manage it, then that's different.
When you talk of independence, that exists in Sierra Leone, Mr. Mankota, in terms of organizations and other things. Except otherwise, you open your own business, when I show business. But once government, the organization or the agency exists in Sierra Leone, trust me, everything becomes government because the appointment will be influenced by the government. Every other thing else will be influenced by the government. And that's one we have to try to correct first. We want to understand how independent is LAFA is in Sierra Leone. And then we know what it is. And trust me, If you can take a government from it and for make them not hands on it and giving putting enforcing rules and regulations or interfering, then that would be a good thing. But as far as I know, Sierra Leone, everything is politicized. There's nothing that you can do there. You come to religion, is government. You come to even circumcisions of society, those private societies, is government. You come to of course, the dangers, you know about it, this hunting, everything is government. So I don't know where government is not in Sierra Leone, just because that's the nature of Sierra Leone.
Well,
Get limit.
Now, let we talk about the actual reason. First of all, I want to make we viewers that know say another try for defend Aisha Johansson. If Aisha Johansson is corrupt, yes, they need for make the investigator. Okay, I'm not get that problem there at all. Let the investigator. The only confusion we against I want for clarification, I been try to get hold of Chris Kamara, we are the Secretary General for SLAFAM, because the man where I've been bringing a couple times na this program is if Aisha Johansson is being investigated, they're not indicting it. Okay, that's what I understand. They may try for investigator, they're not indicting it. And the suspension clause where the ACC or the Sierra Leone government they try for argue, actually relates to SLAFA, because well, who knows? Now the legal people then they get for tell we. But I just believe say Aisha Johansson supposed for continue in job, let the investigation take place. Let them indict him. When they indict him, then we're gonna know whether if they convict her or not. Right. But the suspension, it seems like it's untimely simply because na investigation and they paranormal force, then they say they get for suspend them and this, that, and this SLAFA business, politics don't do from. And I don't want to blame the SLPP. I'm very, very transparent here. The APC self and them cause this problem here na SLAFA. The interference where them put na SLAFA na in cause this problem. And now some members of the SLAFA team were not happy. Some of the stakeholders will not be happy the way that election day be happen, where they get for disqualify Rudney Michael and Mohamed Kalon and other folks them will be one for contest. Paul Kamara tried by all possible means for making disqualify all them people. Then they, instead of leaving this to make delegates them, they vote with that, they want for votes for it, disqualify everybody, and it can be said now only Aisha Johansson, and then get this suspicion say yes, Aisha Johansson get this this presidency because of political influence. Now that make you get this this stuff. So therefore now some of them they don't understand say, well, this government's probably friendly with some of them people then they now then they come back or can't fight. And you know what happened? That the country self now in the deteriorate. That the reason this way politics not for day for sports. When politics they for sports, now the bobo them, now the people them we love sport, now then they hot. Now look, the qualifying series, the Nations Cup qualifying series, they go on. And it seems like the government still persist say this na internal issue, so the suspension get for stand. And even though Aisha Johansson they try for write letter for say make the game not for being done postponed, FIFA ignore that letter. They say no. Go ahead, Mr. Kabo.
Yeah, I see, Mr. Mankota. It's only when trouble for people that begin to realize the importance of not interfering. But I want to tell you something about any agency or any organization in Sierra Leone. 85%, whether it is independent or 85%, is influenced by the government of the day. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So these guys are all there based on political influence. So the politics has to be there. And if Aisha or whoever, the chief of the SLAFA, is under investigation, that not means it cannot be suspended. It depends on the crime or the issue at hand. They could be suspended and be investigated, because sometimes if you be in office and being investigated, you can influence the investigation. So suspension and investigation you cannot actually separate them from one another if it has to be effective. And we all know how saloon politics play. It's so entangled in Sierra Leone that even a simple thing is influenced by politics. Even children at play in classroom is all on politics basis. So I mean, now they want to be as if on they want to try for prevent these things to happen. Where at the initial stage you don't already be, it's not easy for them. So I mean, I don't know how they will handle it anyway. But to be candid with you, it's politically influenced, and the government has hands into it. And no organization has a long way, no political influence. This is just to let the youths they know, because it has to do more with youth who are playing soccer and so on. They all and enter into politics. Then get for this tension of politics and who you know, who you don't know. Because trust me, it's not easy for you to be elevated in Sierra Leone if you don't know who you know. I don't care what kind of education or how much you understand things and issues or whatever. People who don't know, they put them. You can see that everywhere in the government. So I don't know how much you can separate this thing. I know your concern is the SLAFA is independent on its own. It has its own laws and bylaws, and the government should not interfere. But at this make of time, it's too late to say those statements, because it's happened ever.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you on that side. On this side, we made mistakes, and now their mistakes, and then they come back we, and we're not getting nothing which we'll therefore do about that. I don't know, because the government right now don't say, well, this is about sovereignty. It's about sovereignty. If it is about sovereignty, then therefore the government therefore stand in ground, and we think therefore happen. FIFA NSSF standing ground. So this qualifying series where we with the hope we country supposed to qualify for the Nations Cup, it's already been destroyed, because already they don't 6.3 per one game. This is very, very terrible. Now this is the reason this way politics not supposed to overshadow sports. From where I've been small, I've been know about sports for me. I think we very unique, now apolitical activities. But in Sierra Leone now, everything is political. Nothing. Everything is political, and it affects me very, very seriously. Now, I don't know what we'll get for do as a country. And if you look at Sierra Leone, yes, now a sovereign state, but una go put budget for SLAFA. Then una take over. If una want to make a political road, then una responsible for the finances. But they say they're responsible for the for SLAFA finances, but you want for controller. You see, it's very, very complicated. Now the other thing is, if you really believe, say this now we an organization, let we take care of them, responsible for that financially, so you go able to come out and manager. But you just want for make sure say the one way you want, or the one way they support your party, now you they put there, you don't care about the implication if then thing then they backfire. And now they backfire for sure. So what's not the way forward, Mr. Kabo? What do you think is not the way forward?
Well, my suggestion is as you make your bed, so shall you lie on it. So shall you lie on it. And this is how the situation was created. And those people who they just get to come in, and probably after this situation they will pick up sense from it. For say, well, this has to be, maybe they will, well, we don't know, based on the fact that the present government, they are against corruption. Maybe these are some of the things which they therefore look into and act accordingly. These people, if they left them like that, they're not going to able to sustain. The government has to come in as it used to, as the middleman, and resolve this problem with honesty. And when it is resolved, maybe they start a new page. Or they continue from, they scrap those old things, they review the constitution, they take off the old things and that's affecting the organization. And then they work with those that are good intensively with all honesty and maybe add more suggestions to it and take it from there. But as it is now, it is really, really in a dark stage. And if it is not rescued, it will continue to be so. There will be no progress in that sector of the country.
Do you think?
So,
Do you think the Sierra Leone government should have managed this crisis a little bit differently, or that's not the best way they're supposed to?
can you repeat your question?
Do you think the Sierra Leone government should have managed this crisis differently, or this is the best way for manage this crisis?
Of course, it have been managed differently. Not only the government of Sierra Leone, the organization itself, as you said, an independent organization, SLAFA. I never know that SLAFA is an independent organization, actually, because from the word go, SLAFA is Sierra Leone Football Association. Why? If it is independent, don't put Leone, give it another name. But it could also be independent for the fact that by giving it Sierra Leone because they are Sierra Leoneans. But politicians argue, say, once it is Sierra Leone, it's our organization. And anything in Sierra Leonean politicians take it in common sense that anything that originates from Sierra Leone, it's for Sierra Leoneans and their politics has to play there. And until and unless they stop this, like other, not only for Tafa, it's all the country, like the corporations. There are no corporations, independent corporations. For instance, like the water Guma Valley or the Guma Valley water supply should have been privatized, but they will not do it. And when they privatize it, it will not be under government, but they will not do it. Electricity should have been privatized. If these things are privatized, they work effectively. But once they are government oriented, all the rush take place, because it's a matter of who you know. But if you are CEO of Waterworks and you created the wealth and the employment and everything, and you pay, nobody will dictate to you. You see? But even at that, it's very dangerous because the top man there, they tell you this is from the above, from this is from above, and they will even disturb you. That's why investors, they're not the kind of alone because of anything. So you see, we have seen people like Jamil there, how they took their properties and they take their wealth from them. So people are definitely this from time of, from probably from the time we alone gain independence. So I don't know. The problem is too deep. It's not easy. It's too, and everybody in Sierra Leone is born out of politics now. So it's not easy.
That make you see now everybody now this way I've been talking about another try for divert from the topic, but it's some kind it brought up a very good point. The relationship between you know the way we see things nowadays in the country, everything is political. You know, we know one for look at things them in a very liberal or independence way. We look at things as me against you, you against me. That's all, and that's not the foundation of this politics where they go another country. If they politicize everything from sports to civil service to everything, then I think say we are in a very big trouble. We help we at all. You see things way they happen. Now always for say, okay, this person it been a support. Well, look, waiting they go another country. They say Asha Johansson probably gets some kind of a romance relationship with President Kuruma before, and that's not the influence that one the way they take for get in this position. So many things and then they go on. A lot of things and then they go on, and we sometimes then things and they're not verifiable at all. But everybody they just puts everything in this basket of politics, this, and it affects you very greatly. Nothing really affects you. But I don't know what we'll get for do again. But this is a very big mess. the government of Sierra Leone, they stand by their ground saying, and now if they then try for, step back, then go say, well, they lose. Say Africa man or somebody will get proud. You know, one for make them tell and say lose. Even if for that lose they one for do at all. So I hope say Mr. President and the ACC they look at this. Well, I want for make the investigation go on. I want for make it go on. If it enough of been done suspend Aisha Hansen, oh, you don't go off back. Yeah, you phone they fluctuate. Yeah, you phone they fluctuate, Mr. Cabo. So let me bring myself first in. You phone they fluctuate, but I don't know. Now.
Please leave your message for 6465.
Okay. Well, you call me now. All right. Call me, Mr. Gabo. So this is not the problem we will find ourselves. All right. So, okay, Mr. Gabo, you hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Your phone came cut off.
Yeah, it's got now.
Yeah, it show me say you get poor network or something like that. Now it pop up on my screen. But okay. Now, if we say the government for back down, then we say no. That means we don't take with sovereignty power and we don't be into a non-governmental organization wherein the power not supposed for overrule we own. And as we read from Ben Kaifara, where it talks the FIFA now not get binding clauses then we supposed for over international where we supposed for over overrule waiting the government they do, and now FIFA say nope, now we they spend more money, so when I get for follow we your rules. So this now something we don't don't can jam together. We I don't know what we get to do with them, but hopefully then we'll try to resolve this before the next game we in November the 16th, and after November the 16th probably everybody they sit down together and say okay we need for work this. They actually answer if they find them guilty, yeah you need for come out. If at all they find them guilty. But the problem here now is this has already been determined for seeing a political witch hunting. So who knows? Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Kabo.
Yeah, the issue of back down is not the answer at this point in time because things don't already mess up, and these same people now they mess up the situation. So they have to wait until everything clear. Maybe the influences will go away, but it's very doubtful. So I mean, how would you back down when all the stakeholders are politically inclined and they are all under the influence of the government? That I don't understand. You cannot settle that cause at all. And even those people, the youths there, they all get their own sides on politics. So let me tell you something. It's very deep and deeply rooted in Sierra Leone. So it's not easy at all. I don't know how they will handle that. That is a very big problem.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. But at the end of the day, sports must go on because Sierra Leone are a sports inclined country. We like sports. Sports we like especially soccer, and soccer now we the main sports activities who they do in that country today. And some of them, but then they play sports because they want for make them go out there in the international scene for make them go make their money and make their name. And if that door they close, then it become a problem for them but then and the way the country don't now only God knows. So that's not the thing we want to talk about today about the Slafa issue. And also, I want for, before we get about 10 more minutes to go, but before I want for bringing another very important topic we probably, and this is about the loan. We just hear you saying the government of Sierra Leone don't cancel the, yeah, in network don't begin pop up back for say poor network connection. The government of Sierra Leone don't they understand say the government of Sierra Leone don't cancel the that loan for go build my mama when about $318 million where the APC government will go for go take where IMF been one day say they not for take that money there and they therefore seize a little bit but during the election they can find out say probably now a winning you know a winning discussion so then go back for go renew that one day but when Madabi win the election now it don't go councillor but at the same time in they try for go get about $1 billion loan for build what we call that Lunge Bridge where it's not feasible at all looking at the financial the financial activities will get involved you know so cancelling now they don't go cancel the Chinese loan now they don't come to the IMF so what's not this thing where they go on because if you don't want loan yes you don't want loan but you cancel one loan and then you go back to another institution where them two institution and then rivals them you don't think say now I kind of they try for involved like the way the APC mingle itself and geopolitics way cost them because APC was so leaning towards China, well Africa in general, but APC they lean so much in China, the Western society they feel jittery because of the relationship between China and the APC government, and now the SLPP government. I don't know which side they lean it, but they cancel one loan and they open can go for take another loan and why we so obsessed about loans? Why Sierra Leone is so obsessed about loan? If like what Mr. Bio talks saying, he say for the past 6 months, they pay people them without any loan. Yeah, I know it's very, very hard. I understand that. It's very, very hard. And there are other projects the way the president get for take care of that. But should we start from roll back some of this urge for loans? Will they just go no more? Will they just go take no more? Will they just go take no more? You know, things say now mortgage almost we don't mortgage salon, so we don't almost mortgage salon. And this it cut across party line. Go ahead, Mr. Kamo.
Yeah, I understand two things from what you like for talk. Mr. Mankota, yeah?
I hear you.
Yeah, two things who I understand from what you try for talk. One, why the present government they try for do away with loans, especially with the Mama project, and yet still then they go for other loans. And the next thing is why is it always they go for loans where, like the president already said, they fund the government right now and the other parastatals without any loan.
Yeah.
That's correct. Now let's go why the government they might cancel the loan with the Mama project and go for other loans. You see, this is just like an individual or a household. I mean, especially in government terms. Now, probably when looking at the returns or the benefits after when a project is created and how easy it is and what it will actually produce for the people of Sierra Leone, the benefits and so on and so forth. And I believe they get core competent people and within the administration where have a review of these loans being signed by the contract being signed by the Mama project, and maybe they find out that it's not in good terms with the people of Sierra Leone. It doesn't benefit people of Sierra Leone. It might be a rip-off to the people of Sierra Leone, and it doesn't stand to do any good for Sierra Leoneans. It could be, I know it will create some employment, but how much employment will it create, and how much money will we raise from that by creating another airport in Sierra Leone. So they look at those advantages and disadvantages, and again, they're going to look at things like the loan, how much it is, the method of payment, the longevity of the loan, how long it will take to be paid, and under what conditions, what might happen if the loan is defaulted. All those things, they look at them, the agreement and everything. They find out that they are not in the best interest of Sierra Leone, they're going to cancel it off. It's not, I know, however we talk about it, people are going to say it's political because it is not his government. You don't want to do it because the other government initiated it. Yes, but also, you may not be initiating or taking projects of any other government or any other person where any project will start. If you go into the project and find out that the arrangement, the agreement, the tenor of payment, or whatever involves the surrounding of the whole project is not in favor of the people of Sierra Leone, it will be at a detriment. You're not going to accept it.
Well,
so those are the other things. I know every Sierra Leonean goes to say, oh, because now this that's an emic. But these are some of the things you got to look into. Now, yeah.
The point why they try for make is, okay, it's good for make a cancel that loan because me a person will not let loans them too much because loans now it tie you down to poverty, you know, because
correct.
If you why do you take you cancel one loan, you try for go for another bigger loan where much more bigger than maybe 3 or 4 times bigger than the one where you cancel.
Yeah, that is correct. But just like I said, everything in Sierra Leone is in politics, but this is how I look at it. You might go for a bigger debt than a smaller debt because probably the bigger debt might create more opportunities. And maybe the method of payment is more, reasonable, and it's for the sole benefit of the people of Sierra Leone. It might take a longer time to pay, and maybe the payment is compared to the smaller one, which you might say. I know you are trying to compare the Mamama Beach project probably with the bridge. I don't know if the bridge project or contract has been signed or whatever. I don't know yet. But when you look at the bridge and the Mamama, you find out that the bridge gets more money. More money is going to come than the Mamama project. All right. Now, but that doesn't mean because there is more money coming, so the one that is less money has to be adopted. No. It depends on the advantages and disadvantages and the agreement into which these things come into. Let's say the default, what is the agreement they had? Let's say, and the negotiation pattern is different. This is what I'm saying. So the negotiation pattern is different, and if it is geared towards the development of the people of Sierra Leone, and it will not cause any problems in the future to pay it, or it could be a soft loan, and there are other things considered, and it might not create a seizure on a default. All those things, if you look at them, I don't matter if the loan is big, I can take it. But the advantage is the way these two advantages, the agreement with whatever they are making on with another project, compared to the agreement with the present project already signed a contract with the Mama, and they put them together. They get people who are well educated to look into those things and extrapolate and see what is the advantage and the disadvantage of them, and they will decide to come up with their own if that is the one that benefits them.
Yeah, if you say this has to do with entangling yourself to this geopolitics where they go on between the West and China.
Yes, it has to do with that. No. There's no make no mistake about it. The politics in the West and China against China and so on and so forth, and Africa, they play a better role. But you got to understand that this is what these people want us to be. They want us to be in these confused states so that they can never remain to have us. That's true.
And that's my point why they try to make, because if you look at what thing they go on this, the government, because they don't sign the loan, they don't take no money yet. So if another government come, if they look at this loan and say, you know what thing, we want for renegotiate. You know what thing they do with IMF, right? We go for the loan where the APC sign up. Well, then go to the IMF, say they want for negotiate. Then they negotiate again. So they can still do one with China for say, no, we want for renegotiate this loan. Or maybe we want for divert this loan to renovate the Lunge airport or something like that. But canceling a loan and they try for push for a bigger one, and I don't know whether it gets any kind of a meaningful, you know, sense other than entangling ourselves into geopolitics, where probably they come back and bite us, because we all get this urge or this obsession about loans. So the Western society don't use retail. It just feel like we just feel like prostitutes. Sorry to say that. The Western society don't use retail now. Asia, specifically China now, they can't use it. I don't know. So do we have? Can we start looking at with natural resources and try for you know, do things no matter how hard it is? How about we start for do things within we ourselves and see how that will work? China not just come up and grow up like that. China was a third world country in the 70s, right? But then sit down and say, no, enough is enough. Let me look at this. First of all, then try for um, change the education curriculum and try focus on specific things, then technology, you know, science and technology, and then specifically they focus on that, then put more resources on R&D. How many? 20, 30 years later, China not only not surpass the United States. So these are, we have examples where we're supposed to take, where Africa supposed to take a look at, and we get the resources, but we not get the willingness to make we able to try to we self say, okay, if China can do it, if Indonesia can do it, if other countries then can do it, we can do it too, because we get more resources, natural resources past them people than they. Why we get for take now we they plant cocoa, then we sell them to international buyers them. Then international buyers them, then go make them, then come back, then sell them 10 times the way we sell them to them. Why we not be able to try for take a look at it? You know what, Tim? Let we process cocoa now we own country now and export them. Okay. Let we cut diamond. Let we start for cut diamond na salon now. Then we sell them outside. Or the iron ore. What about we start for process the iron ore to win aya? Then we begin sell them. If we know we sell ourselves now other Western society, we can sell them within Africa. But we don't want to do them. We want for take cheap because it's all about me. It's never about us. It's always about me. And this now they put Africa into this state of poverty. You know.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I go back to what you mentioned about why the present government not will renegotiate with the loan rather than taking another venture. And just like I explained earlier on, a bad loan is a bad loan. I don't know under what conditions or what class the present government put the Mama Beach loan. I don't know under what class they put it. But from my point of view, from my experience, it's a bad loan. It's a bad loan, no matter how the negotiation is. So if they class it as a bad loan, no matter how I negotiate, it's a bad loan. So therefore, they're going to put it. So the next thing is you have to understand that when the Western world comes in, like China, as you mentioned, when they come, then they operate basically. You see, you have your household. If I come and knock into your door, you open the house for me and tell me to sit down in the living room. I go to the bedroom because that's where you give me. And what I'm trying to say is, it depends on how you appreciate you receive the stranger. These people not get control over our government, but when they come, they have to dance to your tune. If you tell them this is what you want, that's what they're going to do for you. I'm not sure like China loans are that much expensive compared to the infrastructure they are creating. What is the problem is our political government. The government is responsible. Let's say China project might cost 10 million. But you know very well that project, when China is coming, the project, they evaluated it worth 10 million. There's also to be a president or a government official or somebody who think he knows, and these people are so corrupt, will tell you, you know what, okay, we know the project is going to cost us 10 million, but let us put it in for 100 million. You know, that's easy for Sierra Leone, that in Africa in general. Right. The rest will go to their pockets. So this is what happened with the negotiations of the loans. And these Chinese people, when they blame them, they come, I'm not sure in paper, if they only ask them truly, because if they don't give you the money and they want to invest, you're not going to take them. So they dance to the tune of the government, the negotiator, and whoever sent the negotiator. So it's not like some of these projects are very expensive, but it depends on what actually you are looking for and when you ask me. And what you ask me is what I'm going to give you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, the project cost 10 million. Why are you asking for 20 million? You're going to ask me out. You're going to say you're not serious. I know that. That's Africa. Then the next point is, with regards to this Western world also, it's a lot of confusion, Mr. Mankocha. Because one, the Western world, other parts of the world, like Britain, America, I'm not sure they're going to give loans to like $100 or $200 million or so to African countries or to Sierra Leone. And China stand the chance when they come, they're going to do it. They're going to give you. And maybe also the Western world, that's Britain or Europe and America, probably, they don't agree with the terms of the rulers. You know, if they know, then they evaluate the project you want to do. If it costs 10 million and each of them to give you 20 million, they're not going to do that. America is not going to do that. But it's likely Chinese people going to do that. Because they're trying to expand. They're going to do that. And this is where the problem lies. So when you add to the natural resources, back because we do this, we do this, we do that. That's correct. All these political environmental stuff. Now, people in Sierra Leone are too demanding. They demand what the government and Africa in general, what the government cannot provide is what they demand. We don't start from the scratch. When we start something in a little way, they provoke it. If we tend to produce cocoa for food, for consumption in Sierra Leone, so I don't like label. Even the clothes they don't buy from, they don't patronize from me. They patronize the outsiders. And this is the problem. So, we have to look at it. There's a lot of things, this is so confusing in this country to handle these countries that I don't know what to tell you, but a lot of things to poke into and to see what actually is the problem. We cannot blame these international donors or these international countries outside Sierra Leone. We cannot blame them for them. They dance to the tune of the African people. And everybody is a business person. They look at what your weakness, and they go with you. And that's why sometimes Britain, America, they don't give this loans. Why Sierra Leone don't go to England to get the loan for the Mama project? Why do the Arabia don't attempt to go to England to derive or come to America to get the loan for the bridge? Why China? What is the reason? That's why we have to figure out. Because China and Africa are the same. They are corrupt. They're not making machines. China is making for its country. Though it's not corrupt in that their own country, but they use to corrupt everyone ready. And Britain and America don't do that in the other parts of the Western world. So this is why China, and the ones they give you. Any chance they give you. So that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know there are no arguments on this, because when you look at the loans they get, you will find out probably then they inflate the loans, and because of that, China can't see them. They just want for colonize way, and when you want for colonize somebody, what do they do? Feed them with too many loans, where you're not able for do anything at all. So it's very sorry. But anyway, we don't come to the end of this program. So I just want to thank you very much and thank other people them. We been trying for reach me, they're not able. So salute. Anyway, what I just want to say no more before I close this. Mr. Government, stand firm for investigate corruption if indeed it is about corruption. If indeed the investigation is about corruption, you don't get nothing to do with politics, stand firm and continue to do that. But if this gets some kind of connotation, political connotation, then I think we need to take a look, especially when it comes to sports. Sports, now something very important in that country today. No matter, yes, it don't take before we qualify for international games them, international tournament them. But we still make sports. So una trend, I guess will be very careful the way una they trend on this. And I hope say Slafa need for stay away from politics. Because when you say that minister there, na me own person. So I will influence am for make I able can get something na slapper. You don't begin bring politics na slapper. And that's very, very bad. So, Mr. Tagbo, thank you very much for coming at the program. And again, we'll go soon and back next week, the same time, the same place.
Thank you very much.
All right.